Hey, everybody. Good night. How are you? Well, tonight we have another episode of What is the Ask? And this is friends coming out of Atlanta and Tampa that comes together at least 2 times a month. And we just talk about the issues that are relevant, that are important to the Black community, the Black vote. So tonight we are going to look at a couple things. It was Martin Luther King's birthday yesterday, so we celebrated. It wasn't his birthday, but we actually celebrated his birthday yesterday. So I want to ask our panel a little bit about that, what was going on, and I heard Sister King, Bernice King, throw out some kind of edict to folks about the king that we are actually honoring and making sure that we understand which king we're honoring. And then I want to talk about Ron DeSantis, who is running for president. Has he said it? No. But he's doing everything in the state of Florida that tells us Floridians that day is coming pretty soon. So let me start out with Martin Luther King Day yesterday, celebrated across the nation, at least where they will celebrate. By the way, couple of states celebrate King Lee Day. Have you guys heard that? Martin Luther King
Wow.
and
Oh, General Lee? Okay.
Is
yes.
that the great uh compromise or something?
Sounds
Oh
like
my
it.
God, when I saw that on the news, I think it might be Mississippi, could be Alabama, Arkansas used to, they don't anymore. But King Lee, what is that about?
Well, I'll tell you, if as a Morehouse man, I think I've seen a lot of the video and heard a lot of the audio and read a lot of the literature related to my Morehouse elder. And Sister King was on point because it's funny. I was driving to work this morning. I was caught in traffic, and I was struck by the fact that the acknowledgement of his birth and death has largely become performative
Ooh,
because, to her point, they acknowledge I have a dream, Martin Luther King, which is, I mean, it's legitimate. It's one of the great oratories ever done. But he embraced a lot of socialist ideals, particularly where economics was concerned.
mm-hmm.
He was not satisfied at some point that his brothers and sisters were being hit on the head at his events and being
Yeah,
thrown into vehicles, and that he did, in fact, question whether nonviolence without the threat of violence was possible. And he said it that way.
yeah.
Without the threat of violence, is nonviolence possible? Because it's very easy to hit me across the head when you believe I won't hit you back.
Yeah, very, very, very true. I think at some point he started questioning, did I make a mistake to steer us down one direction versus the whole economic power thing? But what did Sister Bernice King say? Hey, Albert, you were mentioning that earlier.
I guess I better unmute here.
Yeah, no,
Bernie,
no.
Sister Bernice King went off last night on the
Mm-hmm.
replay. I didn't hear the original because I was DeKalb County here had a parade, and so
Uh-huh.
I was a part of that event, which was pretty good, also. But she says you guys are great at picking up this convenient king, this guy who makes you feel good in the same line with Ken. It's there to kind of put him on the wall to make yourself. And then I saw an FBI post that said, "Oh, we love you, King," forgetting that they were the main ones trying to kill him at some point in time.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, she went in. She went into a whole litany of if you really want to be about a Dr. King, forget all this coming to this program every year, standing up, shouting, and all that kind of stuff. Let me see what you're doing out here on the street. Let's get the inconvenient King that was
Mm-hmm.
against militarism, that was against poverty, that was
Uh-huh.
against greed,
Yeah.
because those very three issues are coming back up.
They are.
And so, oh yeah, she kept going on and on and on. And at first I looked, I thought a couple of places she made some good points that people would have been standing up going like, yeah, amen. They kind of sat there a little stunned. If I was doing a play-by-play, man, did you see them eyes get big when she said that? So yeah, but she reminded, and plus she's working with Reverend Barber, who's out of Carolina,
I
on
love
that
Reverend
poor
Barber.
people's campaign. Yeah, they're doing some
Yes.
work. So oh yeah, it was it was a very good message that everybody would not accept, I'm sure.
That's true, but Reverend Barber is one of the very, very few that actually picked up the baton when Martin Luther King died. He picked up the one that Martin Luther King dropped, and that is the Poor People's Campaign, because that is where he was going, economic empowerment of Blacks, poor people. And then he got killed.
Hold up. CBS got a video which I saw, which you can still get on YouTube, where he actually says the government owes us. There's no way we can catch up.
Yes.
In other words, he's talking reparations.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's talking clearly reparation. And in
yeah.
fact goes one more step further. He says that dream y'all keep talking about. In retrospect, I was a little naive.
Yeah.
That's
know?
it.
right.
Yes.
And he used the word check just to
Yes.
specifically use the word
He
check.
specifically said that. So those who want to just pull out that all these little I have a dream and the character of your character versus the color of your skin and all that. Sister King said BS on that.
And I
You
agree
know,
You
with
haven't-
her.
you-
The
you
thing
have
that
not begun-
frustrates- The thing
No,
that
go ahead,
frus- well, real quick, and then I'll pass it to you. The thing that has frustrated me the most with the MLK breakfast and just about any other, I guess, banquet or that we celebrate Black leadership, what have you, is the fact that we've allowed corporate America, white America, to homogenize it in such a way that it doesn't have the punch. No. Sorry about that, guys. It doesn't have the hit that it needs to have. We've gone to sleep, and we allowed them to lull us to sleep with his 1963 speech. I have a dream that little Black girls and little Black boys are going to walk hand in hand, blah blah blah, rather than let's the insufficient funds, the check that's
Right.
needed in order to truly combat the racism that's happened in this country. We've allowed that to happen.
Well,
So now, let me tell
I
you
saw
how bad it got. Let me throw in one quick point. I'm going to shut up, Alton. I stopped going in St. Louis because the YMCA gave the Martin Luther King event, and they would always give away scholarships to the best writing around Martin Luther King.
we
and
do that
it's-
here with
and
Toby,
it
you know that, right?
it slowly transitioned into white people winning all of the awards. And I went up to one of the English teachers. I said, "Look," I said, "I don't know what y'all are doing, but you're not paying attention to what's going on here." And I said, in the old days, the kids don't want to write. I said, we didn't have a choice in the old days. They would pick you and then they would push you. And I said, you got to go back to picking and pushing. You want the stars and you see who's beating them. Now, also the other flip side of the coin, which I don't like, is that who are the judges? White folk. Okay, so the white folk are able to write to their style versus not understanding maybe some of what the Black kids are. So yeah, I stopped going in St. Louis. It was just that was crazy. That every year, first, second, white people. Third place might be a Chinese young man or somebody else. It wasn't. It just got to the point where no Black people were standing up. I said, "Come on, guys, let's get with this now."
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I think
Well-
here in Toba still is very focused on Black. But I think what they were doing at one point was memorizing the "I Have a Dream" speech and ignoring, because that's too comfortable for the white folks sitting in the audience and everybody's happy and they write their $1,000 check so they get the table and the organizations walk away saying, look at the money that we raised, rather than really pushing and making people uncomfortable.
Right.
Now, one could argue that the speakers are becoming a little bit more, I guess, they're a little bit more in your face, but they're still not really attacking the issues that I think helps move us forward. White people are still walking out way too comfortable, in my opinion.
Well,
Ken, you were
speak,
about to say
speak,
something earlier.
Real quick, Alton, I'm sorry. I challenge anyone within the sound of my voice to listen to his 1967 and 1968, 1966, 1967 and 1968 speeches. That is when he realized that he had a certain particular influence that was above and beyond what even people publicly knew. And he began to speak his heart because, again, he had been arrested. He had seen people killed. And he saw that fundamental things that should be easy were getting resisted. It will shake you to your core that was relevant in 1985 when I was in school. It's relevant now. We're
Yeah,
still pissed about that same stuff now.
yeah,
So good old Martin Luther King with a nice, wonderful oratory and
Torre.
cadence. No, listen to that man. Listen to that man. And when he felt his movement wasn't accomplishing what he wanted it to, or the movement wasn't accomplishing what he thought it was accomplishing, or what people thought it was accomplishing, and
yeah,
when he started to get a little despair, that's when he began to tell you what it is. And
yeah.
unfortunately, to your guy's point, a lot of people don't acknowledge that.
That's correct. And that's a problem. But we, especially our generation, we let that mess happen. We let them take over the narrative and discount those last 3 years of his life. And so whenever I go to a gathering, just like you, Albert, I am a little miffed at our inability to control that and to go along to get along so we can get those checks, whatever. Alton, you were going to say something.
Yeah, to the comfort level of whites. Yesterday, I was coming back from the north side of town, and I made the mistake of trying to drive through the city. And I'm like, why is this blocked off? I mean, I know it's the day off, but what the hell is going on? And I see a snippet of a parade. And this is 2023, and it brought me right back to January of 1986, because I was there for the very first one. I was outside of Ebenezer. I saw Sam Nunn. I saw the guy, the senator from Kansas. What's his face with the hand? Oh, I should know him.
Bob Dole,
Bob
Bob
Dole.
Dole.
Bob Dole
Oh,
was there. I
yeah.
saw all these luminaries. But as for the snippet of the parade, I saw the same exact performative nonsense. I mean, it was like, whoa. I mean, I'm not much on time travel, but sheesh, they bring me back. Now, I wasn't close enough to see what signs were in that parade, but I would not be surprised if all the alphabet soup was flowing through it. I wouldn't be surprised. The other thing that I noticed, I had to go to the store. It was ridiculous. You couldn't find a parking spot at Traders. Okay, that never happens. But it was just all these white people out, like, oh, I've never seen them so out and so comfortable. It's like, okay, am I reading too much into this? No, I'm not, because the protection that they needed, going to Ken and Albert's point, they have received over the past 3 or 4 decades.
Yeah.
Control the narrative such that, oh, the Negroes are down off of Cortland going toward the church, good. And we've got the rest of the city. I mean, when you think about the logistics, yes, downtown's blocked off, but they have the rest of what used to be Chocolate City South, because they've created an environment with policy ironically by a Republican president who allegedly nobody likes, who signed this thing into law. And now they're out here as if, like, that's your right. But it's interesting to see how it's been played. Where the irony again is, you've been ghettoized even in a celebration that allegedly is about one of your elders, and it's not anymore. I mean, I refuse to go on Facebook during MLK Day. I don't watch television anymore. I refuse to watch commercials. I refuse to watch any of that crap because it has nothing to do with what this man was fighting for. It's
Yeah.
been expanded. You expand something and it just dilutes into nothingness because, oh, Dr. King was for all of us because he wanted black boys to hold the hands of not only Karen and Becky, but Willie Lynn and even Freddie and everybody. That's what he wanted. He wanted you diluted.
So,
Even
so,
I tell
um,
you,
so Martin,
it's even frustrating to, and again, it's part of your Morehouse indoctrination that you see the entire day in the March on Washington, and that speech is more than I have a dream. He riffed
Right.
that for sure. I think history has proven that that's the part that he kind of riffed. But what got him there gave that a totally different context. It's like that song "It's a Wonderful World." When you hear Louis Armstrong sing it, it ain't the same as when you hear other people sing.
Right.
Well,
Right.
if you listen to that entire day and what is said during the entire day and understand that John Lewis had to bite his tongue that day because he was getting ready to go hard that day. And he was asked not to so that they could get through the day. If you understand the temperature of the day, even that speech is not the same as it's become.
Well, Malcolm even said, Malcolm has a speech on it where he says that they told him what time they could come to town, they told him what time to get out of town, and they told him what to say in between. I mean, he laid it out the whole, and see, he wanted to be actually a part of the process. But they went like, man, are you crazy?
Oh no, not you, not
Oh
you.
no, not you. And he spilled the whole beans on that process, Jeanette. I mean, he told it from A to Z of how they control the process, called them and told them what time to start and everything. So it's once again like I'm telling you, it. Here's what I've been saying to everybody. I said, how do you spell God? GOLD. That's how you control people and how you make them from our mega churches all the way down to our simple churches. Everybody's taking government money. Bush was the crafty one on that one. He gave all that money out, but in return, there were certain things you couldn't do. Other corporations are finding out when you give out money, what's that thing about paying the piper? You pay the piper to play the tune that you want to play. So a lot of people have to back up and they shut up people that may cause them to
Yes.
actually lose money.
yeah.
So that's what we're seeing now. all of the nonprofits. Who was that? Black Lives Matter is in trouble now. They
Yeah.
raised millions of dollars and somebody went out and bought some crazy house for $2-3 million.
Right.
Are you crazy?
Crazy.
Are you not paying attention to the optics? You got to look at the optics and the whole 9 yards. So until we stop spelling God GOLD, then we are going to be beholden to them because we cannot govern for ourselves. Okay, if we accept money. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I had that experience
Wow.
real briefly in Florida,
Wow.
in Tallahassee, where I'll just say a certain organization was attended a regulatory hearing, and they needed representation. And your boy was there because he had experience with that agency to the point where he hadn't worked in 20 years and not boasting, but when he showed up, the staff knew who he was. So they leveraged my influence. I use that lightly. I'm being shy or whatever. That's just the truth. But it was early in the game. But I'm slow. But I was starting to figure it out. It's like, why are they not asking me to put on a case? I mean, I sat there for 3 days saying nothing.
Ooh.
Now you're gonna pay me a couple grand to say nothing over 3 days.
Wait a minute,
Okay.
they paid you just to
Me
walk into the room and sit down.
Walk in and have Alton.
Yeah.
But I learned very quickly. It's like, oh, I know who the cash is flowing from. I can smell it. I see. And the guy who's let's just say who's orchestrating this, one who's not of our lineage. I said, oh, you the who the capital is flowing through. So long story short, for people out there, yeah, King's death birthed this industry. When you look at black quote unquote leadership, and they're in front of that microphone, you have to ask, going back to Albert's point,
Thank-
God or gold? Who's paying the gold? And looking at it, you take the morals out of it just for a minute and just look at the pure business. Are you being paid any worth? What are you asking for? Oh, we need $20,000 for our AKA banquet. Oh, really? You're not asking for no more empowerment? You like to throw around that E word until it's time to, until the opportunity comes where you act on it, and then you punt. So, again, going back to the earlier point, we are not leveraging power, and when gold is in our face, we're opting for it. I can appreciate all the economic arguments that you can make for just taking that check, but sooner or later, if you're still doing the same thing that you're doing 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago and seeing no results, and now your grandchildren are pushing back, you've been doing something wrong. And going back to Jeanette's point,
Right.
we're accountable for screwing a lot of this up.
So
Yeah,
let me brag. I'm gonna brag on one thing that we did. We had a group in St. Louis that we carried kids to Black College bus tours. We carried them around the country every spring on our own. We raised money. We made the accommodations affordable so that the kids didn't have a lot of money out their own pockets to do this, and we made money to give out scholarships. And so about year 5, all of a sudden they said, well, Budweiser wants to get involved with this process. They want to give you enough money, and we won't even have to charge the kids anything to go. I said, what else do they want?
Right.
Well, they're going to give out these calendars, and you have to have their Budweiser logo on it. I said no. And the majority of the group said yeah. But I had a chance to push for no and explain why. We're teaching these kids how to be better citizens and all that, and Budweiser is not the image that we wanted to portray
Right.
for kids. We're having kid events, but you got beer on the thing. The optics didn't look right. You see, and then we having these classes where we're talking about don't smoke, don't drink, go to school, and then we got Budweiser all on the thing. Now they didn't like it, but we had enough money to do what we wanted to do, and I always felt like it was better to do small and be in control than to do big and just go down. That you couldn't control the process.
I bet you some of those parents went to college in the 80s.
Yep, could be. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Those Budweiser posters with the Egyptian kings and queens
Yes,
and stuff
yes,
that we have.
yes.
That's where that stuff is flowing from. And like, oh, it worked back then. Let's do it now. Now we're poisoning our own kids and grandkids with that.
Exactly.
All right, so we really need to tap into the inconvenient king, the one that makes people uncomfortable. But we have a tendency, us and our peers, the baby boomers in particular, to go for that gold, as you say, which causes us to make the other folks feel comfortable around conversations that really are not pushing the agenda. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do about MLK Day that has been commercialized in such a way that they make money, but we don't? You know what I'm saying?
I
So,
think one of the things about
so
this
how do
this
we,
idea of comfort, um, and baby boomers, I think people lean on baby boomers and they shouldn't, and it's unfair because you didn't grow up in the same world as everyone else. Baby boomers, man, you spoke out of turn. You could be up on a tree. You could be in the back of a squad car. So there's that trepidation at time. Whereas, there are other generations where comfort don't even come up. Comfort is like these, white so-and-sos, I don't care what they think, you know? And with people in that ilk, they build on the headway that baby boomers made. See, baby boomers should not, what we have to kind of understand about the baby boom generation, and we have to kind of look at it as a continuum, right? Baby boomers got something from nothing. Everybody got an opportunity to build on what baby boomers did. Baby boomers, there was no getting mine because there was no mine to get. The whole notion that you could do something different, I think, was invented by baby boomers. And the fact that people don't feel like they crossed the goal line, if you will, is not relevant because they started the quote unquote game. There is no
Mammy,
context for people deciding what they want to do and how they want to do it if baby boomers did not do what they did and go through what they went through. So I think there's a couple of things I think. One, the notion of asking somebody to give you something that they don't want to give you is a fool's errand, number one. But you can't, you don't have that prerogative with all things, and you got to understand what you have that prerogative with. Things like getting programs funded. Jeanette, you and I know how that is. There are things that are fantastic and wonderful ideas that unfortunately you have to ask somebody who doesn't want to give it to you for something, but not in every area. So again, we're not at the point of having won the ball game, but we can definitely get first downs toward touchdowns. And if we think that way, the wins like what Albert talked about, you guys going to take money because it's money. No, we don't take money because it's money.
right.
We take the money we need the way we need it. And if we can only have 7 as opposed to 25, then we'll do a fantastic job at 7. And next time we'll do 13. And next time maybe we'll do 21.
Right. Now,
We
Ken is
take
talking
the
about me. I'm a
wins
baby.
that you can get and call them wins.
Yeah. I'm a baby
yeah,
boomer. So,
yeah,
yeah,
Ken's
you
talking,
guys,
I'm talking about you too, but I'm not saying what Ken is saying. Go ahead, Albert.
yeah, like I said, you guys came along a little bit later. I'm not going to tell you how much later and shame you. But,
We're
you
baby
know,
boomers.
we came up with
Yeah,
there was a
well,
phrase they used to say, mammy made. Okay. I don't know if you ever heard that term before. That's mammy made. In other words, you made that at home. You couldn't afford to go downtown to Macy's or Dillard's to buy what you did, but your mother made that, and that's a lot of times what we did. We would sit around. I mean, even, okay, kid, Alton, as a kid, we played baseball every day on a raggedy field. We didn't have anything that a lot of the other teams did. So what did we do? Each one of the baseball players would go steal a cup of flour from their mother's cupboard, draw the lines with the cup of flour, and that's how we get our base running pass and stuff like that. Mammy made. It is the idea that we knew we didn't have anything. Now you fast forward to this new generation, and they expect everything to be there, and they keep saying you guys are old fashioned. And I'm still wondering. And this is the question I got for all of y'all. Do you actually see them? They talk trash about what they'll do in all these instances, and they wouldn't have taken all that kind of stuff. But do you actually see them doing it, or are they just sitting around talking trash with us because ain't nothing going on?
They're talking trash. I
Yeah,
got
it is,
I got a 20-year-old. He'll be 21. Now he's not in the. At least when he's home, I don't. Maybe when he's at school, it's another thing. But and I won't pick on his age group too much. But between 21 and 40, they're full of it. They have the technology. We can. They're like the Bionic Man. We can rebuild him. We have the technology. But again, yeah, different times I get that. So we baby boomers went through different public policy, social policy. Our visions were different. We are of the Elijah Smiley generation. Like, just quickly, Elijah Smiley he was already a grad student when I got there, but he was a legend. This man, he'd go into a student senate meeting and tell those senators, if we the Black Student Union don't get the money we want, none of you leave tonight. And then him and his posse would lock the doors, and they weren't getting out of there literally till they voted for Elijah Smiley. Was legend. Okay, you don't have that kind of attitude now out of these kids. Why? Because we have an environment that says that this technology is providing you with what you need to build your own future. Bullshit. You don't own the infrastructure. An app today can be gone tomorrow. There are 2 million of them, and you got 6-year-olds writing them. So we have a generation that, yes, blames boomers for not handing them down generational wealth and what have you, which I can understand to an extent until you understand what wealth really is. But the talk, trash talk is a bit too derogatory. So, but just the talk, if you don't first of all, and then I'll shut up. If the word capital is not coming out of your mouth from the very beginning, I don't care if you're baby boomer, Gen X, Gen Z, Gen confused, then you don't understand. You don't understand this planet. You don't understand the system you are on. You don't understand what the BRICS are doing, right? Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, China. You don't understand what they're doing right now. You don't understand that dollar that you got in your pocket is about to blow up. You don't know this world. All you know is what you've been influenced by Ye or whoever the hell's out there. Cardi B. Yes, I love Cardi B. I admit I love Cardi B. All of them.
See, I think what happens.
They think that's the infrastructure. That's not the infrastructure. That's not how this works. And then I'll shut up.
I know, but
How it works has not really changed since the 1400s. But nobody takes the time out to study it. So yeah, my generation, definitely this one after me or the two after me now, they talk a lot. If you sit them down, you ask them a few basic who, what, when, why, what, then I'm not impressed. And that's why I'm not impressed. I'm not even impressed with my generation. I'm not impressed with this.
Well, what's your
I think
generation?
with
Your generation. What generation are you talking about? What's your generation?
My generation?
Yeah.
I'm a boomer.
Okay.
63.
Oh, you
So
too young for a boomer.
I'm not.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
we're on that. We're on that.
You made my day.
So I'm hitting the boomers because I think the boomers after Martin Luther King did not do very much. We were busy assimilating,
Yes.
getting into corporate America,
Yes.
going to their accepting that gold so that
Yes.
we could be as like them as possible. And I don't think we pushed the agenda at the level of intensity that the King generation did. I don't feel like, Ken in particular, that we really pushed in the manner that I think was necessary to get that economic, that capitalist, that part of King's dream that crystallized in the last 3 years. We dropped the ball.
Yeah, I think, and my father almost hung up on me the night that I said this, but I would offer that the baby boomers did accomplish their agenda. Their agenda was to assimilate. Their agenda was to be able to live where they wanted to live. Their agenda was to be able to work where they wanted to work. And I believe that there was some success with that. Only thing was, when you moved into that neighborhood and they painted nigga on your garage door, and when you went into that company and you realized that you were doing all the work for a fraction of the pay and for none of the promotion, then you start to realize, hey man, what's going on?
Right.
With regard to the Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, and particularly the millennial Gen Ys and Gen Zs, they don't have enough perspective to know what they're talking mess about, but they do know that COVID was allowed to happen the way it was allowed to happen. I'll go to my grave with that. They do know that people have shot up their schools. There are younger people doing it now, but there were older people doing it before. They do know that they have not been protected as children would reasonably expect protection. So to have this mind and really only know, well, I don't want that. I don't have a clue of what I want. I don't have a clue of how I'm going to get it. And like you said, they don't know where the bodies are located, let alone buried. They don't know where the cemetery is. They don't know that there is a cemetery, let alone where the bodies are buried.
Right, but Ken, why
But they know they don't want that.
But why don't they know? Why don't they know?
Because
What
in
did
many
we do
cases,
in
they're
our generation
20.
that allows the next generation not to really tap into those issues.
We never
In
had
many
those
cases, they're
conversations with them.
17, 18, and 19. We didn't know, and I would argue that the baby boomers had to know because it was a life and death existential situation. But at 17, I didn't know where the cemetery was. These people haven't lived enough life to even begin to address the crap that they talking, but they are at a stage, as children will be, that they know they don't want that for
No,
I
themselves.
hear
I
you,
will,
I
yeah,
hear you, I hear you.
I will admit that, yeah, as you know, and I can recall when you said about we were busy assimilating. Yes, January 8th, 1985, my very first job in Atlanta, and it was Buppy at its highest level. The Buppy, we were
Buppy?
Buppy,
Did
we
you
were
say
Buppies.
Buppy?
Yes,
Buppy.
we were Buppies. Yeah, the
Buppyville.
yuppies, yeah, the yuppies, and we ignored them. We knew they existed, but and I'd say our generation was the last one that attempted segregation with the small s. Okay, y'all are yuppies, fine. We don't have to join you, but you know we can do you better. We're Buppies. You know, we hopped on a plane at the last minute right after work. Literally, I don't need a bag. I just got a book because I can. You know, we did all that. Oh, yeah, I can fly. Oh, because I can. We were busy being that. But when you're busy being that, I think you run the risk of staying in that mindset. You lose your fight because, yes, you start believing that you have arrived. And then there's the chance that you're going to present that you have arrived narrative to your kids and in some cases grandkids,
Yeah.
and then they find out harder and faster in the 2000s or whatever we're in, 21st century, that whoa, I turn on this internet, I'm seeing a lot of information telling me I haven't arrived, I haven't even found the airport. You
Yeah.
know, so
Yep.
that's going on. And then I think what some of us boomers are not admitting to as we put pictures of our great trips on Facebook and all that shit is that we have been avoiding the pain of self-awareness. We have not yet, some of us have not admitted that, whoa, you know, I'm happy and proud of what I've accomplished because I kept a roof over my kid's head and what have you. But there's something essential that I missed, that I didn't pass on because I missed. And now it's like, you know, we're in our late 50s, 60s, and it's like, whoa, can we turn this ship around? What is the ask?
Let me can I look at the same ball from a different side? The idea that we didn't do what we were supposed to do, I'm not quite sure. We did it. We actually thought we got the voting rights. We actually thought we got the fair, equal opportunity
you say
employment.
thought?
We thought we got the EEOC. Well, in fact, it was presented that way
Right.
for a few years. And then after that, and see, this is the part, Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Y'all remember him? He died. He was with the Nation of Islam.
I remember I went to see him talk in school when I was in
That's
school.
right.
I saw him talk.
He said, Jeanette, he said, you got to kill them, bury them, dig them up, and kill them again. And then after you kill them again and bury them, you dig them up and kill them again. And people missed the message there. And the message was they don't stop.
They don't
They
say.
not.
You thought you won the game. And they're saying, well, you just in the first quarter or you just in the second quarter. We still got 3-4 more quarters to go. And so they turn around and change the laws on you again, which is happening in Georgia, which is happening in Florida. Now, that's why you see all these CRT things. We're almost systematically going back through to segregation again.
Yeah.
Which I don't have a problem with it for a lot of other reasons.
Yeah,
than they're doing.
right.
Yeah,
Say
yeah,
that.
'cause
Say
that's when we made our greatest advances. You
Say
know,
that.
but that's why I'm saying to you, I'm not gonna say the baby boomers didn't finish what they started. They actually did, but nobody realized that beast over there wasn't dead and that he was coming back to then turn around and make you start doing this up again. And so we're fighting the same fight. Go look at the generations between 1960 and now. Every generation had to go back and fight for the same thing, and now we're fighting again. We're fighting for equal rights now.
I had a finance professor that explained that whole dynamic that you just laid out, Albert, like this. They laid out the appetizers. They let us have some of the appetizers, but they had the dinner in the back.
Right. Okay. That would be a good way to put
we felt
that.
great about the appetizers.
Right,
Because look at
right.
us, we got appetizers.
That
Right.
part.
But the feast is in the back.
Right.
And that segregation,
Right.
absent of I'll do it myself, is a problem. Now the segregation with the I'll do it myself, back to the whole, well, I can't buy a sweater, so I'm gonna go make a sweater.
Right.
If we lean into that mindset, all right, I'll get what you give me, but then I'm gonna go make this over here, and don't be trying to come over and have none of my meal
Exactly.
when I start cooking, because
Yeah, but
I'm
you
not putting no raisins in the potato salad in my cooking.
Kim, but that feast in the back is what Martin Luther King began pushing for.
Because I think that's what the time knew. That's what the Times knew of. The Times knew of, and forgive me for crossing the line if I am, but the Times knew, the people of those times knew they were hungry. So they saw food over there. They
Right.
didn't even make the distinction between appetizers and the meal. They saw some food over there because
Exactly.
they had been so knocked down that they were starving.
Correct. So before King could really get you to understand, yes, you're hungry, but there's so much more back there, they killed him, right? So we went through the last 50 years eating appetizers,
Yeah.
and we have not yet partook of that feast in the back. I think only now we are in a position to begin peeking around the corner to say, hey, y'all, there's a feast back here. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of the unrest, because
And I think there's a whole bunch of people, not
y'all
nearly
only
enough.
got these degrees. Y'all are moving up in areas, policy making positions, what have you, and we've got to stop that, because while our race is declining, you and other folks are increasing, and we got to put a stop to that right now.
But
because
also,
peace.
there's a
Right.
number, maybe not as big as we'd like it because we want to win the Super Bowl tomorrow, but there's a number of people that are saying, yo, they got food over there. Yo, we got to go to Costco. We want our own cookout because they got the bland fried chicken that they cook out. We gonna fry us some chicken, some fish. We're gonna do it on. So you know what?
And
They
that's
can
part of
sort
the
of
deal.
have to certain people, not everybody,
That's-
but to certain people, they can have their what they
Your
call
analogies are on
smorgasbord.
point. Your
We're gonna have
analogies-
cookout.
Your analogies
Wasp-
are on point.
Wasp
That's
need to
part
take
of the
their country
problem.
back.
Because when you start flavoring or seasoning that chicken, and everybody start going toward your seasoned chicken rather than the bland chicken,
That's
a
right.
problem for white America. That's a
F
problem.
But which
Because now
yes,
you know
that-
what? You can't get in my cookout now.
Right.
You
And
got to
that-
pay
and-
to get in my cookout now. And
and-
don't
and-
bring them
that's
goddamn raisins neither.
And that's why,
I can
right,
see
right,
it.
and that's why, and that's why they need someone on their side, and I'll help them find him or her to say, you know, our cookout may be bland, but God damn it, it's ours. So we're gonna stay right over here because we think it's better anyway. We're glad you brothers have yours, but we're happy. That's why they need a strong man who can come out and say, WASP need to take back their country, their own, and stay over there. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's why they need to take their white liberals and kick them out of the family. Because it's them who try to connect the two and dilute you. You see, that's what they need over there. They do need a strong man, and we need to stop being afraid that strong man means he's coming after us. No, they need a strong man to make sure they keep theirs, and that we need a truce. Okay,
But
we
they
got
don't
a
really
strong
have
man.
anything.
No, because
Culturally,
they're weak. You're right. They're weak.
they don't really have anything. Everything they have, including lips and butts and whatever,
Right.
comes from another culture.
And that's
They
why,
really don't have
right?
anything.
And
And
you-
that's
That's
why they
dead
need,
on
and
target.
that's why they need a strong man to say we don't need any of what they got.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Because I'm gonna tell
understand
you
your
something. That
point,
food at that
Jeanette.
cookout, good man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
The
they-
you think
music's
about,
good too.
see, here's my point that I'm always making about it. All that you say is true, and so what? Because in the final analysis, you got the best of this, you got the best of that, but I got the money. I got GOLD. So you're going to bow down to me one way or the other. Take Elon Musk, take the guy who owns Microsoft, take 2 or 3 other guys. They control about 50% of the wealth in this country. So,
But in a matter of speaking, and again, this stuff that I'm talking about is not an event; it's a process.
right.
What you say is true today, and I understand baby boomers, and this is my own thought that you guys ain't trying to wait because you watch so many of your own die young, and die in the short term, and be crushed in the short term. So the notion of a process that could take decades ain't something y'all trying to hear.
No, you
But-
know, I told y'all I got 8 years. I done gave y'all 8 years.
But I do believe that the trend of people saying, F it, I'll do it myself,
It's
is
gone.
the track that we're going to be on. And again, I'll take something frivolous like sneaker culture, right? Sneaker culture just used to be the fellas putting toothbrushes and soap on their Converse All-Stars. Now it's $1 billion industry, and they mad, they, because they don't run that. They don't add the value. They don't set the value. There's a shoe drop going on in Japan that the average dude don't know about. There's a shoe drop going on at Dapper Dan's that people don't know about and ain't trying to go to.
What's the shoe?
So
drop?
yeah, the tradition and the reality of today is that you have the gold, but you don't have the culture.
Yeah.
But if you have the culture,
You can make the
you
goal.
quite possibly do rule the future. I believe that as I stand in front of you.
Hold that point real quick. Let me get this one in. Get this one in. We take that to not so much a higher level, but an expanded level.
Yeah,
I've always wondered why resource-rich countries don't control the currency.
Okay.
That day is coming to a quick end. And that's what people need to notice, that is the shift. What people are saying, again, they're saying, wait a minute, not only just the culture, we control the resources and y'all are doing, and we got to use your dollar? Really? I don't think so. Homie, don't play that. We out. That's what's going on.
Have you seen it really happen yet, though? They've
no,
got the concept.
no,
We're not
it's a
saying that
process.
it's like that today,
Right. It's a
but it's not
process.
like that
It's
today.
not like that
but
today.
it's trending in
It's
that
But
direction.
trending in that
supposedly,
direction.
yeah, supposedly that's why Gaddafi was killed. You know, he was trying
Absolutely.
to take his
Absolutely.
country in Africa
Yeah.
off of the dollar standard and
Yeah.
move it to the gold standard.
Now, I don't know how much they learned from that, but that was 13 years, 12 years ago,
Right.
they've learned a lot. Maybe. I don't know. And plus, you're talking, yes, Gaddafi, yes, influential, one country in Northern Africa. We're talking 40% of the population is saying, you know, we can go our own way. Don't you guys have timber and coal and all that stuff? Yeah, we got that. We got oil too. Yeah, let's go. Why can't we buy your shit in yuan and renminbi? Sure. If you have to push comes to shove, we can do rubles.
There's a
Electronic
cat.
rubles.
There's a cat.
Yeah.
There's an African cat named Dangote, who's one of
Yes.
the richest guys in the world.
Yes.
This brother is starting to spit that talk where China just can't walk in and do what they feel like doing in Africa like it was in the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to see Dangote before you do anything in Africa.
So is he taking a bribe, or is he just?
No, he don't have to.
You can't go
You're
past
presuming
him.
that he's the subordinate. You're presuming that he was taking a vibe. He is,
No,
if
no.
anything, receiving a vibe.
No, I'm
If anything.
saying he's saying that you can't do anything until you come past me. Is that your
He's
position?
not taking a bribe or giving a bribe. He's not giving anything. People are coming to Africa and having to deal with Nigerian interests. Now, I'm not saying that they're pure in their intentions.
I was going to say there's a lot
I'm
of
not saying
corruption
that.
No,
because there's a lot of corruption in these places.
Listen to
Don't
you.
ever say that.
But
Shit.
ain't nobody coming in and taking anything. Now, that may be hard for the Black American mind to get around, and that makes a lot of sense.
What's your
But
point?
this cat,
What's your
this
point?
cat is, I think, part and parcel. Again, process, not event. We haven't won the Super Bowl. We're just finding our seats, right? This cat has something trending that I don't think we've ever seen before. The way he and his organization do it.
All right, who's this guy again?
I've only begun to read about him. His last name is Dangote. It's Dangote.
Yeah.
He's an-
And he runs a massive
Yeah.
international corporation, which does venture capital. It does a lot of stuff.
He's got a lot. He got billions under management, and I don't know what else he's in. I've seen a couple interviews. Yeah,
Yep.
him. Yeah.
Yep.
And
I
he's
mean, again, it may not be, where we're going to crown the king or anything, but it is a paradigm shift the way he's approaching his role in investment on the African continent.
I see Dangote recruitment. I see him here. I'm going to look him up and read some more about him. I'm
looking to find more information on him as well. But the couple of things that I've read about him, I was like, whoa. Him and on our soil, watch Byron Allen. Watch Byron Allen. Now, people get all hot and bothered because he's married to a white woman, whatever. But watch Byron Allen. That's a paradigm shift too.
I noticed he's been making a couple of moves. I'm still waiting to see how that's going to all shake out.
Me too. Me too.
Because once again, he has to go through other institutions to get his information out. Distribution will kill you.
Right.
Okay. And so he's got to deal with the distribution end of it to make sure that people buy in. In fact, that's what his lawsuit was about.
Right.
One of those other big stations was trying to keep him from.
Comcast.
Comcast was trying to keep him out of the ball game.
Right.
His navigation is what I'm interested in, because it's sort of like you can punch him and knock his teeth out. He'll just go get new teeth. You can knock his lights out. He'll wait for the concussion symptoms to fade, and then he's back at it. I mean, he's been at it for easily 40 years, starting on a very small scale with mass communication. But his entertainment thing is gaining momentum in a way that I don't know if we've seen it like this before.
No. Hey guys, so we have about 4 more minutes, and we didn't get a chance to talk about Ron DeSantis, so we're gonna I'm gonna give you guys that for the 2 weeks from now, to kind of talk about him running for president and what kind of impact that has on Black folk. We already see what it's doing here in Tampa. He's already going into schools and taking out CRT and anything that looks like CRT and LGBTQ. He's
Anything that makes Karen uncomfortable is coming out.
Counties change policy and homogenizing them in such a way that the line that Republicans like to use, everything's based on the content of your character, not the color of your skin or whatever else. So that as whites become the minority, they're pointing to Martin Luther King saying, oh, remember what he said, it's not about skin color. We'll talk about that at some other point. But tonight, it seems that Bernice King's tweet or her statement in her speech last night is probably what drove this conversation tonight. The fact that which king are you talking about or following? Is it the convenient king or the inconvenient king?
Oh, the inconvenient king. I'm telling you, I'm still saying there's probably some people still sitting in that church after she finished speaking, cause she left some people speechless. Okay.
But I think that we need to be pushing the inconvenient king. And you talked, Ken, about the last 3 years of his life. That's where the emphasis needs to be in terms of what we need to be doing right now for that economic empowerment amongst Black folks and poor folks, Reverend Barber, as you mentioned before. So what is the ask, Alton?
The ask is more of a willingness to, take an infrastructure that isn't ours, but milking it for all we can. You know, that is the ask. Not just accepting the infrastructure and just not just accepting the consumptive or performative part of it, but
Yeah.
using that infrastructure to produce. I don't care what you're producing, as long as you're
Yeah.
producing it for your people.
You know what that reminds me of, real quick, is when they didn't let us play football, we started playing football, changed the game. They didn't let us play basketball, we started playing basketball, we changed the game. They didn't let us do tennis and the rest of that stuff, golf. We get in and we totally changed the game. We put in new rules and we played our game, and then they had to play on the level that we brought to the game. And I think that's what we've been saying the last few sessions. You certainly hit the nail right on the head with that. What do you say, Ken?
Alton and I are almost one brain sometimes, because I was gonna
Very.
basically go in the same direction. I would only add, and I come from a sports theater kind of background, kind of crazy background, but my mentors in both, the greatest lessons that I learned from both coach that I admired and a director I admired was believe your vision. Because when I've believed my vision, I've done well. And when I haven't believed my vision, I wish I had. So in the way of doing our own thing, you know what? Your side hustle, that may be your purpose. Keep doing it. Keep doing it because it's yours. It belongs to you.
Yeah.
It belongs to the culture. It belongs to everything. Don't be afraid that, you sold 30 sweaters. Okay, you sold 30 sweaters. Those are your sweaters out there.
I love
Not
that.
to say that one day you're not going to have 30 million sweaters, but you know what? Today you sold 30.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it's very
Believe
capital
yourself.
focused. Yeah, it's capital focused, and as I was corrected earlier, stream of income, not so much side hustle. But we got you.
You know what? You know what?
Alvin.
Stream of income.
Stream of
Huh?
income.
Yes,
Stream of income.
Albert, close us out.
I like to recognize that you can stop praying to GOLD and still do something positive, and you can't always go for the highest dollar and actually get a good deal. Sometimes it's like buying an expensive suit. It doesn't necessarily mean that you got a good suit. It just means that somebody charged you a higher price. So you need to know and understand value and begin to put some of that together so that, as everybody else has said, we may not be the biggest or the baddest, but we have enough to take care of ourselves to build for tomorrow.
Nice, very nice. And that said, you guys, love talking to you. See you in 2 weeks. What is the ask?
Take care, family.
Okay, bye-bye.